Hi, this is Brad. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PTS, and I'm happy to have Doug Lloyd with me today, talking about the HID Janam collaboration, as well as his XR2 RFID reader. And then we'll have Joe as well presenting today, showing how easy it is to get one of our sample apps onto the XR2. So essentially, you can, if you get your hands on an XR2, you should be able to be testing RFID within minutes. Then we're gonna have a nice little Q&A. So if you have any questions for myself, Doug, or Joe, you can ask those at the end of the presentation. Anyway, next slide, Joe. A little bit about the panelists, just so you guys get a little background in the history that some of these guys have, or both of these guys have. Joe Crable has been with PTS for over 20 years. He's created over probably 3,000 mobile applications for our customers. I'm sure many of you know him, seen him in the videos, but he's been with us since the days of Palm. Doug, we've known since the days of Symbol, and we knew him as a product director there on the Palm OS line, and we go way back. And then obviously I'm the co-founder with my partner Dan Pluso at PTS, and I handle the sales and marketing and operations, and help make some of the decisions around what we're going to support. Anyway, next slide, Joe. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. TracerPlus 10.7, which now supports the XR2, is being released later today. So good timing. We were a little delayed on it. It was supposed to go out last week, but going through some iOS stuff. Those that aren't familiar with TracerPlus, it enables anyone to create mobile applications for data collection, barcode and RFID, create them once and release them to multiple platforms, multiple devices. We're also picking up support for another RFID device and the socket scanner, as you see on that image. Then in October, we're going to have a training event at the TWA Hotel. Everyone's invited. There's no cost. It's being sponsored by our manufacturing sponsors, Janam being a silver sponsor, and they'll be showing their devices. And then we'll also have a Zebra there, and as well as Metalcraft, who, those not familiar with Metalcraft, they have a bunch of different RFID tags. Good company, long-standing partnership with them as well. So encourage everybody to register for that event. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to share their, how they do their work, how they, what they do with RFID and mobile data collection and fixed IoT data collection. Anyway, next slide, Joe. So how do we know Janam? Well, we go way back. We've known each other as long as my youngest son, who's now 18. We started with the Palm OS back in 2000 when we founded the company. That's how we initially met Doug, when he was at Symbol. And we had a product called Tracer that we sold for, I think, $32. It allowed people to create mobile apps on a Palm OS device with a barcode scanner. Really innovative device that Symbol came out with. And as everybody knows, eventually Palm went away. And in tail end of 2006, Symbol announced that they were no longer supporting it. And wow, a breath of fresh air walked through our front door one day. It was Doug Lloyd, and he says, we are founding a company called Janam, and we're going to now support the Palm OS with our devices. And they took a lot of their expertise and founded this company. And now 18 years later, they have moved from Windows Mobile to Android and now into mobile RFID. And he's going to show you all those different products today. It's a breadth of products and their specialty of, looking at a customer as whether it's small or large, they're built in a way to be nimble enough to do special things for them. And that's what we love about Janam. Anyway, next slide, Joe. So if you've known PTS for a while, we're pretty selective in those devices we put our name behind in TracerPlus. As a software company, we're only as good as the hardware we run on. And with RFID, it gets even more complex, especially when you're developing a tool like TracerPlus that does a lot of different things. It can be used in a lot of different ways. Unlike a fixed solution, we're a configuration tool. So when we're developing into an API, there's a lot of legwork, a lot of thought, and a lot of cost that goes into that development. And we're very selective when it comes to mobile RFID because it's a big lift for us. And if an API changes and the manufacturer doesn't tell you about it, essentially is going to take your customers down, and that's not a good look for us. And so we're, again, really selective. And we knew Janam long enough, and we knew their customer first mentality. And when Doug came to us with this new device, not only was the device exciting, it was exciting that Janam was getting into this world, and we trusted them that, there was nothing going to take place that would, come out of the blue and cost us as a development company a lot of time and money and pain. When we actually got the device, we even got more excited. We learned about it. It is an all-in-one device. So it has, your RFID, your barcode, and the mobile computer all in one manufactured unit. There are sleds out there, and they serve their purpose. And there are other all-in-one devices that are really great. But to date, none of them also have a SIM card slot that you can actually do mobile data collection outside of a Wi-Fi network. And Doug's going to talk about all those things. And again, another big reason we said we're behind this device is we have that relationship with Janam and a guy like Doug Lloyd that, we know who to talk to if there are any problems. We've been in the foxholes together, and that's important to a software company. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Doug. He's going to really, get into their products and show us what HID and Janam are all about.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for the, certainly recognizing, our longstanding partnership, and something that we've we not only take that of extreme value, but also understand that, without companies like PTS and their application set, our products don't create solutions. So, so a little bit about Janam. First of all, I'm Doug Lloyd. I'm Vice President of Sales at Janam Technologies. I've been with the company pretty much from the beginning. Our founder, Harry Lerner, remains the CEO since then. And part of the kind of what I want to describe to you is, who is Janam? If you're not familiar who we are, as Brad said, we were founded in 2006, operated as our company around providing enterprise-class mobile computers that communicate wirelessly, read barcodes. We've done RFID solutions. What happened in end of 2022 is that we were acquired by HID Global, a worldwide leader in trusted identity solutions. And also, it's just as a part of the family, just so you know, as HID is part of the Assa Abloy brand. Assa Abloy is a company based out of Sweden, has 61,000 employees, and has a $12 billion organization. So within that, we've become one of their mobile computing divisions. So that was the value that we brought. HID Global, the division or a brand of Assa Abloy, is 5,000 people worldwide. Next slide, Joe. So what are the business areas? Just so you understand, and kind of what our portfolio, what has happened to the portfolio accessibility, not only for Janam but also to our partners in many different forms and fashions. So you can see that there's a lot of different solutions that HID brings to the table. Physical access solutions, those of you that you have possibly key cards that get into buildings, secure issuance, being able to have your own particular secure credentials or identification, identification management solutions, citizen identity, so passports from many different countries around the world are enabled by both physical and digital IDs provided by HID Global. Extended access technology, those modules, those products, the biometrics that you often are using within different types of solutions. And then lastly, in the identification technologies team or group, that's where Janam resides. And this is where you see smart credentials, services to identify, track, and add to your activities and assets. So again, as we've become part of that group over the past 19 months, is that we're now providing not only just the mobile computing piece, but now an integral part to a lot of different and new solutions that you see today. Next slide, John. All right, so what's our areas of expertise? And from the beginning, we wanted to make sure that we were providing, as part of our mission, delivering enterprise-class mobile computers so that in your point of activity solutions. Right, so we quickly become, or over the years, become a global provider of these computers. One of the things that we knew we had to do in order to be competitive is that we had to be fast and flexible and nimble, be able to customize products for specific requirements, and that's something that we take pride in, as far as not just be able to say, no, it has to be the old adage of Henry Ford said, you can have it in color as long as it's black. We took the opposite approach. Tell us what your needs are, and we'll see what we can do. And more often than not, we're able to provide great solutions. So the strategic focus on also enabling software and other recurring managed services, this goes part and parcel with our relationship with companies like Portable Technologies. So what are our differentiators? We definitely have streamlined processes. We keep our SKUs simple. We keep our processes simple. As I said before, not only fast and flexible, but also responsive. And the responsive meaning it goes down to the support level, being able to provide you with live support. You don't have to have a contract in order to provide support. We have a great team of support engineers that have managed to figure out complex solutions that often people face when they're deploying these type of devices. And as our CEO Harry will say, you have a culture of saying yes, making sure that we take every opportunity and find what are those little things that we were able to do to be able to achieve a successful solution. Next slide. So what are those segments that we're in? And it spans all the different types of industries that you might find out, from event management, where if you go to your local sporting event or concert, you'll more than likely have been scanned and you've had your ticket validated by a Janam device. In retail and hospitality, both small and large, you'll find our devices for all those different types of applications, whether it's back of store, front of store, customer-facing management, CRM management, even social media posts. So a lot of different use cases for these types of applications in healthcare, for blood tracking, specimen tracking. And even in more specialized fields, such as energy and utilities or oil and gas, for the fact that a couple of our devices, or a few of our devices, have the UL Class 1 Division 2 certification to operate in those hazardous environments, whether you have gases and vapors. And then certainly in government and public safety, we've taken a leading position in a lot of these different applications because of the fact that, as I said earlier, to be able to be flexible and be able to achieve different types of customizations to meet those special government requirements around a hardened device, for example, something that doesn't have radio, something that doesn't have cameras. So that's something that we definitely excel in, and we look forward to being able to work with both PTS and our mutual customers around that. Next slide. So what is our product portfolio? As I said earlier, we try to keep it simple. We want to make sure that we're providing devices, and we have this trademark phrase, the right features at the right price. So not to overburden products with unnecessary features that you may not need and may not even need to pay for. So that make sure that they're very specific to those point of activity applications. Our XT series is our flagship. Rugged PDA styles, whether it's the XT3 or XT40, around small, lightweight, super fast, having tap and go NFC so that you're able to use products like Apple Pay with their special protocol called ECP on our XT3 series, antimicrobial housings for healthcare in our devices. For those more traditional, where they want a hardened keyboard, we have our XM series for very data-intensive, input-intensive applications, and also always enabled with RFID, NFC solutions. Our XG series is our leading trigger-handled device, where you find that in warehouses, distribution centers, because it comes in different flavors, whether it's different keyboards, alphanumeric or functionumeric, and also we utilize Honeywell engines, both the near-far imager and the EX30 far-range imager. So where it's leading in its class amongst all those different devices. And then something we're going to talk about soon, and I'll share that in a little bit, about the XR series, something that we're now bringing to market as far as Brad said, new solutions around UHF. Next slide, Joe. right? So the XR2 is something very exciting for Janam, and it's something that we're excited to work with PTS on. How do we enable all these different solutions that are out there, especially around UHF? And Brad mentioned a few of these features, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to get a rotation. Just jump to the next slide, Joe. All right, so the category that we're looking at is the all-in-one reader. As Brad, I think, briefly mentioned, that there's, for a long time now, you have a lot of products out there that for various reasons are still well accepted, and that's the sled type, something that will snap onto a mobile computer. And yes, we recognize that in some use cases, some people might want to snap onto a consumer-based device for some reason. And it could be because they're running different types of applications. It could be that it's an infrequently used need for UHF reading. But our research shows that a lot of the market, a lot of the customers are looking for something that's much more integrated, much more hardened. So what we have now is this category that there's a few choices out there, but we believe with what we've integrated into our devices that it has some unique features, such as it's the only device in its class with cellular connectivity. We'll talk a little bit more about how do we enable that, but the ability to put a SIM card in worldwide, to be able to enable that and get real-time connectivity no matter where you are, not just in the four walls. We focused a little bit on the sleek and ergonomic feel, making sure that the weighting is proper between the handle and the antenna on it. A high sensitivity antenna with high gain. The ability to read not only RFID in lightning fast, but also barcode reads with our enabled Honeywell imager. So with the latest in technology coming from Impinj, the E710, we're now reading over 1,000 tags per second at an extreme distance, up to, in some tests, up to 60 feet away. Be able to read tags, be able to locate them, because the device also has GPS. So, not only locating the tag itself, but knowing where you found the tag, especially if you're out in the field. And then, best of all, is that it has a high capacity battery, because as we know, being able to use all these different types of features with a high bright display, barcode scanning, GPS, cellular, and UHF reading, you need to have a high powered battery. And with our 9,000 milliamp hour battery, best in class solution or specification, this entire package provides a great all-in-one solution. Next slide. So what are those applications? And you're going to hear a little bit more coming from Joe and Brad. But here's what we already found the devices being well accepted: real-time inventory management and asset tracking in retail, or asset tracking in across all different industries. In healthcare, especially HID, our parent company, has a long and strong history in healthcare. So now to be able to enable that mobile component around tracking medical equipment and supplies, especially because they're one of the leading industries in the utilization of UHF, monitor patient movement as they're using wristbands or tags. It even extends down to, for example, one of the divisions of HID is the linens and uniforms, being able to track. Next slide. In supply chain, being able to document your chain of custody. We find this in a lot of different applications, especially around parcel tracking, both on the commercial side and the government side. So what it does is produces an increased productivity within that supply chain, being able to do a real-time tracking of assets that are either valuable or large. In field service, being able to monitor equipment, network boxes, for example, track utility and utility meters. And then in government, certainly, there's a lot of work being done in real time around locating resources, checking security of products, of boxes, of people, managing documents, and certainly tracking evidence, especially in the public safety sector. Next slide. And lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about, as I said before, this device, like all our other devices, do come with cellular connectivity. And what Janam has been asked for and we provided is a new service called Janam Connect, which provides you with a multi-carrier, intelligent, smart SIM. And what that means is that it gives you best-in-class coverage no matter where you are. Right? So meaning that you can have access to multiple carriers, not just one. And in some cases, this is valuable. Where if someone is traveling from one location to another and they need real-time connectivity, Janam Connect is being able to provide the ability to move or roam from one carrier to another. We're competitively priced. These are data plans that it's a different types of fits for whatever your requirements are, and be able to provide these highly secure systems, and then also provide robust reporting so that you can actually understand where your usage is, where you're disconnecting, and how you can optimize your solutions. And that's what Janam is able to provide. And we look forward to working with Portable Technology and Brad and his team, and being able to offer complete solutions to whatever your particular requirements might be. I'll turn it back over to PTS.
Thanks, Doug. That was really great, very thorough. It's very evident of your knowledge of the market and RFID, and your long history really shows through. With that being said, I think our next objective on this webinar is really just to show folks, and this is Joe's specialty, but how easy it is to really do a light bulb test. I call it the light bulb test, where someone sees the power of RFID of the Janam unit through what we call as our demo apps. And Joe's going to show you how you can actually download one of our demo apps, put it on the XR2, and test RFID. As long as you have RFID tags, which are pretty much on everything nowadays, you can test it for your coworkers or whoever else, or yourself, before you make a full commitment. And that's been hard to do in the past. People had to have things custom developed or configured. Right now with TracerPlus, you can go to our solution center, log in, and get demo apps to try out in the XR2 immediately. And with that being said, I'll flip it over to Joe.
Yep. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Doug, for the presentation. All right, folks, so what I want to show you today is the XR2, which I'm remotely controlling here with a tool called Visor. So that's this screen here. So actually, even easier than getting a demo app from our app library, you can actually test this right away by just downloading our TracerPlus software by getting it from the Play Store. So if you go to the Play Store, you just type in, TracerPlus. I happen to have it already installed, but you could have it installed, and then once you install it, you open it, you'll be prompted to log in. At this point, you can quickly try it and create a trial account. So in my case, I'm just going to log in with my user here. And as soon as I log in, you'll be presented with these sample applications right off the bat. So you don't even have to download anything else if you just want to see what the application can do. So you can kind of see different applications here for inventory, extinguisher inspections. That kind of gives you the inspection, how you can do inspections with TracerPlus, how you can do route accounting, delivering packages and such, asset management, which is one of our major uses for TracerPlus, as well as just a simple tool for showing you how quick you can scan barcodes. And then what we're going to show with the XR2 here is the scanning of RFID tags. So if I click that, the first thing it's going to do is prompt me to choose what device I'm using. So in here, I can choose the Janam device and then click Set Device. Then I'm immediately brought to a scanning screen where I can select the location of, where the tags happen to be. And then I can just hold the trigger in. And then I don't know if you can kind of hear the me reading all these tags here, but you can see I picked up all those tags in a matter of seconds. That's going to save those scans. So that's going to show you that all these tags were scanned in this location and this date and time. But what this demonstration also does is gives you the ability to use the Geiger function. So if we click this locate button, we can now go to this second page of all the tags we just scanned and click one to actually locate one of these tags. So let me go ahead and find one here. and I'll click locate, and then I'll see if you can hear this. Let me see if I can find the tag around here. So you'll kind of hear it as I get closer to the item. It's going to start beeping more frequently, and you'll kind of see that progress bar increase in percentage as I get closer to that item. And then as I back away, it goes back down. So that's a really neat tool to use for RFID in general, is being able to locate items. So I can just click close to that. I could select another item and try to find it. But one of the other neat tools we have with this demo is the ability to sync it to our demo cloud. So here you can get access to this, I believe, through signing up for a trial. You'll get a link to this and you can log into this demo app portal. So here you can see the demo apps library. This is going to correlate to the same applications that are on that TracerPlus install. So if I pull up this device and I show you the apps, you'll see the matching icons for the sessions that you're going to be syncing with. So all these different applications on the XR2 here can sync to the correlating cloud demo app. So in this case, I'm going to jump over to the simple RFID. So right now you'll see I don't have any data. So I jump back over to the XR2, go back into that scan RFID tags. And one thing I also want to mention is that once you set that device, so I set that Janam device, it's going to keep that until you change it. So if you did want to change it, you could go to settings, change the device, and click set. Otherwise, I can just come back to the screen. I can click sync. So you'll see that it's syncing the records over. And if I refresh the cloud here, you'll see all the scans that I just took, all from room 1, my date, time, and then all the EPC tags, as well as who actually did the scan. So that's how beneficial this demo cloud can be, just to kind of give you an idea of how TracerPlus can be used and how you can get started and kind of demo some of that functionality. So if we jump over to our desktop tool now, so we can also browse some of our samples. So if I go to samples, this may take a little while to load here. And let me go to other. I know we have some RFID apps under here. So for example, we do have some RFID related apps such as a multi-tag scanner, a single tag locator. But even though this one says Zebra scanner, I can go and use this application here, import it into my desktop. Now I have this application, I can manage it, or I should say I can make any changes if I needed to, add fields, take away fields, add drop-down information, change how the form looks if I wanted to. But one thing we can also do is if I go back to this project tab and go to advanced, I could come over to our reader parameters section here, go to the Janam RFID XR2, and then just enable this. And I can also disable Zebra so that the Janam works. And I could simply deploy this to the device. So I'll click deploy. That brings up a QR code I can scan. So if I go to the XR2, I'm going to go to the menu, download project, and then I can just scan this QR code with its built-in barcode scanner. And you'll see now I have this scan RFID tag session. This is going to be very similar to the demo I just showed you. It's just a little larger. So I could select a room. I can scan a bunch of tags. I can post the scans. And then I can jump over to the next tag to pick one out and locate it. So that's how easily you can actually take one of our applications from our app library, import it into desktop, make any changes if needed, set that reader to use the Janam, then deploy it to your XR2 and be able to just start reading RFID tags. So also for those of you who have existing applications, TracerPlus applications out there using RFID, all you have to do is just make that simple change over in that advanced tab. Just go ahead, once we Of course, first, one thing I failed to mention is this is available in TracerPlus 10.7, which Brad had mentioned we're posting later today. So once you download that from the App Store, or I should say the Play Store from Google, and then also get the latest desktop software, you'll have this option available. Just go ahead, come in here, enable it, set it to true, deploy it, and now your TracerPlus app with RFID should work with that XR2 device. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show, just a nice short and sweet demo to kind of give you an idea of what TracerPlus does. So now if we want, we can go over to the Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them into the question panel and we will go ahead and address those.
Camera on here as well. All right. The first question I'm seeing is, it's a good question. On those demos, Joe, can you explain if they're pre-configured, which they are, but the room numbers, someone was specifically asking about, like, you know, what flexibility do you have? And maybe this is a good opportunity to just show how TracerPlus, you know, can be customized quickly and you could update and make it your own.
Yep. So the apps out of the box that you get when you download TracerPlus, those are static values that you can't change. However, this demo app that I did just get from our app library, I can come to this session here, scan RFID tags, click the location fields, click the drop downs, and then I can change these to whatever I want. You'll see that these are room 1, 2, 3. I could change them to, you know, 101, 201, 301. I could add another one, you know, room 102. And then simply, rather than having to scan the QR code again, I can just simply click the F5 key on my keyboard. That's going to rebuild that project, and then jump over to this XR2, come back to the download project from the menu, and just simply click download. And now once I jump back in, there's our new drop-down choices. So there's our room 101, there's our new one, room 102 that I just added, and then I can scan all those tags.
And I'll just add, the goal here, I called it the light bulb, but really is to make it very simple for someone to see what's possible with TracerPlus. And these applications are actually integrated with our cloud now, which is a new offering we have to give customers the ability not only to connect to pre-existing databases, but if you don't have a database or an IT team, we're making it really easy for you to get started with a basic application that is accessible anywhere via our PTS cloud. With that being said, I got some questions for Doug here. It's a lot of questions. First, can you read QR codes with the XR2? Oh, Doug might be on mute.
Yeah, I can even answer that. That's definitely yes. Yes, he can.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for my unmute button, but yes, you can read QR codes. It is a full up 2D imager and can read all the standard you know, GS1 codes.
Yep, and I even read that QR code to deploy the project.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next question, which I'll expand on a little bit, but is if there a charging cradle available? But I guess I would ask, what are the charging options you have for the XR2?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You know, first and foremost, you know, as I said earlier, we try to keep things simple, and all of our products come with chargers built in. So it's not an a la carte. You don't have to order a set of things. So we do include a standard wall charger with all our devices. However, we also have a optional desktop charger for the device as well.
Great. This is a question, really my question to ask, because as you're talking about the multi-carrier SIM, which we have some experience with at PTS, and I can't say enough about it. It makes it very easy. I mean, especially if you have multi-sites, for an IT team not to have to think about, you know, what to light up for that device. They just send it out with a multi-carrier SIM, and if he's in the desert somewhere and only gets AT&T, he's got that option, or if he's somewhere else that gets some weird network on an island somewhere, they get that. But what type of price range are you looking at for the monthlies on those SIMs, Doug? I'm sorry to hit with you an unknown, but
that's a good question.
It's affordable most of the time.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a fair question. So the pricing range, like I said, we try to keep it simple. We have 3 plans that we generally promote: 500 megabytes per second up to 2 gigs. So 500, 1 gig, 2 gig per month. And the charges range from $17 a month to $37 a month. The center point is 1 gig. Most of our customers are using 1 gig, and it spans different industries. They find that's enough data for what they're doing. For 20, for at least an 8-hour shift, if not longer, per day.
Yeah, and I would envision that being probably a lot lower if they're not taking photos or using the device for anything else other than data collection.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing to point out, and I guess it wasn't in the slide, is that say you have multiple devices, our plans are poolable. So let's say, for example, you have 10 devices and you have 1 gig plans. That means you have 10 gigs of data available to you that you can use across the 10 devices, meaning that if one happens to use 1.5 gig in a month, but the other one's using half a gig, you're still okay. You still don't have to pay anything on overage.
And one of the things we've seen is you can get, I'd not get too much in the weeds here, but you can also set it for an IT person to see if a device is going over and quickly turn that device off with these multi-carrier SIMs, which is nice. It gives you that assurance that you're not going to get hit with a crazy bill.
And you can also work with the MDMs. You could also combine that, this solution with your MDM as well to have even more data control and more data visibility.
Okay, we got a lot of questions here.
It's good.
It's a good one that goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. I know the guy who's asking it because he's got a lot of good questions. But are you required to get the multi-carrier SIM when you buy it, or is it an option?
It is absolutely an option. So if especially if you're what we do is we offer this as part of North America because it is something that we know is sometimes challenging. But we have worldwide deployments. Remember that we have the 2 flavors, whether it's the European frequencies for UHF or the North American frequencies for UHF. But we have people that will bring your own SIM as well.
It's a PTS question, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about our cloud, which we talk a lot about. And someone asked if it's required. And no, the PTS cloud is not required with TracerPlus. TracerPlus for years only provided data connectivity tools to pre-existing systems, i.e. your system, whether it be SQL, Oracle, some other database. Maybe you're just taking ASCII files in and sucking them in and put them in a file, shared file somewhere. We try to give our customers as much flexibility as possible. With that being said, we noticed over probably the last 10 years, we had more and more big customers, surprisingly, coming to us and saying, hey, listen, we really can't get our teams to do what we need to do. Can you build this for us so we can put TracerPlus directly into a shared area with all the data? And that's where the cloud evolved, and it's just really become a big part of our business. It's a great solution for those that want to see all of the data that may be available with RFID and ClearStream and barcode scanning, and maybe their system doesn't handle it the right way. Maybe it's just last seen that shows in their system. You can connect it directly to your system as well. So the cloud can be connected to TracerPlus and ClearStream, feeding it, and then also connect via a new product, which will be at the TWA Hotel event, which is RIA, which is our dynamic API that will allow you to connect to these pre-existing systems. Anyway, long-winded explanation of the cloud, but our whole thing is flexibility. A lot like Janam, we want to give the customers what they need, and especially in enterprise, no two do it the same. It's always different, and that's what we're there for, to help with. More questions. This is a Joe question, and it's going to get kind of specific, Joe. For a facility with tens of rooms, do we have to manually enter them, or is there a way that we can, bring them in automatically? I think users, rooms, any field, drop-down data. How would you connect that to another system?
Yes, so there's numerous ways you can populate drop-down items in TracerPlus. One is within the desktop tool here by doing a manual entry that you saw me do. You can even use the import function within desktop if you have that data, in a file somewhere. If you use that import option, you can actually import them into desktop, or you could sync them either from a PTS cloud or from your own database using our Connect tool. So if you have a list of locations or rooms and things of that nature, in an existing table or system, you can sync that data to a dropdown within TracerPlus using that Connect software. So there are numerous ways to get those dropdowns populated.
A good question here. With the product itself, Doug, do you sell a Wi-Fi only version without the SIM slot, or is everything SIM enabled?
Yeah, so everything is SIM enabled, but and it might be a follow-up question. I was realizing, in my previous answer about SIM is that you do not need a SIM card to operate, but it is we do build it in again under the keep it simple mentality. We want to be able to offer a feature that can be enabled to future-proof it, but it'll run Wi-Fi and you can have the cellular turned off.
Perfect answer, thank you. Joe, a question. This is more of an operational question for TracerPlus. Sorry, Doug, but it's a good one. If I have TracerPlus licenses and I want to get other people enabled, how do I go about adding users? That might be you jumping over to the portal, but the first thing is you have to put an order in for the licenses, unfortunately, or fortunately for us. But maybe you can show how that easy it is to add users in the sub portal, Joe. I'm sorry to hit you sideways with that one.
Yes, let me see. I don't want to give too much access here, but for example, so we have this is another tool we have, GS1 Verify, which also will now be supporting the Janam device. So an update to that software will be updated on the Play Store soon after our 10.7 release. But I could select, a user or something like that. Where's my PTS? So I could add PTS, I can add a new user here. I can enter the username, their name, their email, any comment if you wanted to comment on them. Instead of GS1, you would see TracerPlus user here. And then you could set a password for them. So you could come here, as long as you have licenses available, you can enable them as a TracerPlus user. If you don't have any licenses available, you won't be able to enable that. However, you could go into another user, disable it, then come back into this user and enable it and have that user have access to TracerPlus.
All right. A couple more questions for Doug, and I think we're wrapped up in this list of more questions. What's the, I guess, your supply chain looking like, Doug? How quickly, how many devices are in stock right now, and what's your list price on these, and how does it compare with others?
Yeah, so
answer that however you want.
Yeah. So the list price on device is $28.95. We think it's a very competitive price, but we do absolutely encourage you to work with partners such as PTS. This is something that we think that through working with the solutions that we have best-in-class pricing. The supply chain is very strong. It's one thing that as an organization we've always had an extreme focus on business planning and operations and supply chain management. We fared well over the past few years, especially in 2020, in terms of having available stock. Our lead times are best in class, world class. We're normally shipping either through our distributors or by ourselves within days of an order. So that's something that we know that in order to be competitive, we have to provide best in class pricing, best in class service, and we do that with best in class partners.
Thanks, Doug. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of there. We talked about it a little bit, or I did in the beginning of, we're really selective of who we go to, and supply is obviously one of our main concerns. It's great that, to get someone to demo and trial it, and hey, this works great. Now I need 50 of them. Well, that'll be 3 years. That's not going to be a problem with Janam or anyone else that PTS works with.
And I think I want to point out, Brad, that you just mentioned about demos is one thing that we since our founding was we provide free demos. You contact Brad and his team. It's really a no paperwork demo on our side because we know that it's important to get that in your hands to be able to test your solution, work with our support team if and when there's issues, especially around the setup of the hardware. And then we work, as I said, making sure that the solution works along with Brad and his team.
Great, thanks, Doug. Well, I don't see any other questions. if there are, load them in really quickly. But again, I want to thank Doug and his support team that helped us get this webinar together. Tracy specifically, really helpful group. Hopefully this is value to folks. Here at PTS, we're all about options. We want to give our customers as many options as possible, and really highlight that we only work with best in class, hardware manufacturers. That's, as a software company, it's critical to what we do. If we go and say everything's great, we're going to have a lot of problems supporting it. So Janam has proven that they're great over the last 18 years of partnership, and look forward to hearing all the success stories with the XR2 around the corner. With that being said, I think we're going to close it down. Thank you, Doug. Thanks, Joe. Great job, everybody.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.